One team. That is how many teams has ever made an NBA Finals as an 8th seed. And, ironic enough, it was the New York Knicks back in 1998-1999 season where they beat the Heat in the first round, who were the 1 seed. But right now, to say this season for the Miami Heat was almost lost is an understatement. It got to the point so bad that some Heat fans were even questioning if they should even win their playing game and just take the higher pick and blow this team up. But as of right now, the Miami Heat are now 2 wins away from the conference finals and are playing the best basketball they have this season. They're separating themselves from the rest of the league and showing that even when they aren't shooting incredibly well from the field, they're meant for playoff basketball and they're a lot better than this regular season has shown. But with how poorly they shot in the regular season, with injuries to almost everybody at different points throughout the season, it's incredible to think that they're back to this point right now. And of course, they didn't get there by themselves. There's a couple injuries here or there that may have helped them, but they have steadily shown that they're separating themselves from the rest and showing that they are a top 3 team in this Eastern Conference, and they could take anybody in a 7-game series. So today we're going to talk about how the Miami Heat can get the impossible done and how well they've been playing these playoffs so far. Before I get started, hi, I'm FLB. We've been streaming a lot more on this channel lately, and I would love you guys to join it. We talk about the games right after they happen. We talk about the X's and O's, adjustments that we see teams make, etc. I did it last night with my boy John, and sometimes it'll be solo, sometimes it'll be him, sometimes it may be somebody else on there with me. But if you guys enjoy basketball content, you want to talk about the X's and O's and adjustments teams make and how good they look going forward and what matchups look well, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you get notified whenever I do start. Now, if we're going to talk about how good the Miami Heat has been these playoffs, you can't do it without talking about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler has absolutely been having an insane postseason. Whether it's scoring at the rim, getting to the free throw line, hitting threes, hitting pull-up jumpers, Jimmy Butler has been doing it all along with elite two-way defense. And he has set a lot of milestones, whether it's the 4th highest points in a game in playoff history, whether it's averaging the most points in the entire playoffs in that first round, whether it's being the only other player since Michael Jordan to have 98 points between 2 games in an NBA playoff run. Jimmy has been absolutely insane. Now, this is off a playoff run that he had last year that was also insane, that we thought would peak Jimmy, and he decided to completely blow that out of the water. And right now in this Knicks series, why he hasn't had a game that's completely knocked the socks off, especially since he sprained his ankle in game 1 and couldn't play game 2. But the Knicks right now are selling out on him. They are so scared that Jimmy is going to cook them that they're helping off Max Strus, our best shooter, to double Jimmy right now. That is how good this man is playing at the moment. But again, we can't talk about the Miami success without the guy next to him in Bam Adebayo, who I know a lot of Miami Heat fans were hard on, but we have to remember not only is he playing through a strained hamstring in that Bucks series, but he gave us a 20-point triple-double to close out that series right now. Bam Adebayo is 3rd in Miami Heat history in playoff double-doubles behind Alonzo Mourning and D. Wade. Bam Adebayo is holding Giannis 3 for 12 shooting in that Game 5 and completely knocking off the entire defense. He's the guy that's locking up the Knicks in that Game 3 that we just had. There's a reason why Bam scoring sometimes is just seen as an extra with how much positive impact he has in the game, especially sometimes with his passing. Spo in that Game 5 against the Bucks made Bam the play initiator, and now he's the playmaker and getting everybody involved because he's that good of a passer, and he's been doing it in spotty areas since. So it's absolutely insane to see just how good these 2 guys have raised their game in the playoff time. And once, hopefully, Bam's hamstring feels closer to normal in further series as time does go along, and hopefully we get to see him peak and not missing bunnies. At least has his legs under him to hit some of those jump shots that he's patently hitting all regular season long. And lastly, the others. Whether it's Duncan Robinson going 4 for 19 against the Milwaukee Bucks, whether it's Caleb Martin dropping 22 in a game without Jimmy in a game 2 against the New York Knicks, whether it's Gabe Vincent going absolutely nuclear in every other game, Caleb's touchdown passes, Kyle Lowry's masterful point guard role coming off the bench and guiding this team. Everybody has shown up in some way or some form for this team this postseason run. Max Strus last game was the leading efficiency guy, as he shot 7 for 14 while everybody else was probably shooting almost under 50%. Max, is just absolutely insane how much the Heat role players have stepped up, and while I know the main story has been Jimmy Butler, we wouldn't be able to do it without these guys. They've been the one that's been able to step up. In that game 4, that game 4 against the Milwaukee Bucks, while Jimmy was out after that 20-point first half and the Heat needed some offense, guess who hit 3 threes in that second quarter? Duncan Robinson. When they're doubling Jimmy in this Knicks series, guess who's hitting those threes? Max Strus. When Jimmy was out in game 2, even though we lost it and came close, guess who were the 2 guys that stepped up and really almost got us a win? Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent. Game 1, when Jimmy went down with his ankle injury and the game was only within 3 points, who closed it out for us? Kyle Lowry. It's just absolutely amazing just how good these role players are and how every single game you can count at least 1 or 2 guys to step up and really give you a really good performance and keep you in it. And this is great, especially since a lot of you guys are undrafted, and I see a lot of people pushing that narrative about this Heat just doing on undrafted players, and I think that's a little bit disrespectful to these guys because they've been in the league for a couple years. They've been extremely productive and they're extremely good. At some point, we just got to use their names and talk about how good these guys are separately instead of just tagging them as undrafted players, and that's it. And lastly, Coach Spo is the best coach in the NBA, and I think a lot of people are realizing it. Right now, the adjustments he's been making all playoffs, he's been running circles around every other coach that he's played, and this may be the second coach that he gets fired if then he beat this Knicks team in 5 like they're supposed to. But the adjustments he makes in the Bucks series, where there's a game 5 on the fly, making Bam the play initiator on the way down when the Heat offense wasn't looking too great, that completely opened it up and got us back in that game to win it. Whether it's the change of who guards Brunson and RJ Barrett so that Jimmy can be more of a helper and completely close off the paint to the New York Knicks and force RJ Barrett to be a spot-up shooter. There's just so many adjustments they've made throughout the entire playoffs, especially, and him making throughout the entire playoffs, that it's just hard to see any other coach being able to outcoach him and know this Miami Heat team is always prepared no matter what. But even with all these great things, you have to ask, how good is this Miami Heat team and how far can they go? Do they really have a chance of getting to the promised land and winning it, being the first ever 8th seed, even though they were 7th seed and just lost their first play-in game, but being the first ever 8th seed to win an NBA championship? And I think it's very much possible. There's no team in the NBA right now that looks unbeatable. There's a lot of team that has a lot of weaknesses that you can expect. Boston Celtics take a day off defense every other damn day, and Jason Tatum can't string together 2 great performances in a row to save his damn life. Whether it's the 76ers team, James Harden can't hit a 2-point field goal to save his life after that incredible game 1 against the Celtics. And Joel Embiid's health is in the gutter. You look over in the Western Conference, Anthony Davis can barely get 2 games in a row that he's actually effective on the court. LeBron is obviously hobbled with that foot injury and isn't really the same right now in these playoffs, even though he's still playing pretty good. The Nuggets, as of right now, defense just doesn't come up to snuff, even though they've been playing really good defense so far in the playoffs. But the Golden State Warriors don't have the defensive bodies to throw at Jimmy Butler and guys like that on this Miami Heat team, while they also have games where they just don't play well on the road at all. The Phoenix Suns have 4 players on that team that can be effective, 3 to be honest, because DeAndre Ayton's absolute garbage. But there's just so many holes in every one of these teams. The Nuggets are really the only team that's that cohesive, that really I think the Heat is a long shot to beat them. But overall, it's just very, very easy to tell just how good this Miami Heat team is and just how good of a chance they have to actually take it all with how well they're playing. Now, I think that 3-point shooting has to be a little bit closer to what it was in the Bucks series than what it is in the Knicks series for the Heat to truly do win NBA championship this season, but they're on the right track. Making a conference finals runs 3 out of the last 4 years, and the one time you did it was when you had a 2 months off season, is absolutely amazing work and shows just how much of a historic franchise this is and how good Jimmy Butler is during playoff time to get us to these spots time in and time out. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think about this Heat team. How good can they be? That being said, it's FLB. That's my time, and I'm out.